Hey, and welcome back to MetaNetTV. We're doing our series of interviews with MetaNetTV contributors. This morning I've got Rich Schultz with me. And Rich, tell me how you got into Bitcoin in the first place.
Well, the first time I heard about Bitcoin was probably in 2011.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
It's pretty
Always
early.
about the Silk Road stuff.
Right.
I became relatively interested in it. I didn't know enough technically about it. I just thought it was cool having some form of internet money.
Yeah.
Uh, I tried to buy some through Mt. Gox, but I couldn't figure out the connection through my bank. So I
Which
kind of
is
gave up on it.
it's probably
And
just as well.
then, say that again?
It's probably just as well.
Yeah, it probably was smarter to give up on it then. Although I would have liked to get in at that price. I think it was
Yeah.
maybe $30 or something like that at the time.
Mm.
Um, but then I came back to it in 2013. Oddly enough, through Dogecoin, I started
Dogecoin.
seeing, I started seeing some of the memes on Reddit,
Uh-huh.
and for whatever reason, that grabbed my attention. And then I looked into like, oh, this actually operates as a real currency where you could send it and use it. And
Mm-hmm.
I ended up buying my first Bitcoin with Dogecoin through PayPal because for whatever reason, hooking up my bank was never an easy process. At least in the beginning, it wasn't particularly easy.
Man, when Dogecoin and PayPal are easier than a bank.
Exactly. I mean, it was only small amounts at first, but
Yeah.
it gave me an idea how to play with it, and of course, that led me to Bitcoin itself.
Yeah, I think you gotta spend some time in the waiting pool first. Like, no matter how experienced you are, you gotta just send a few small amounts around, buy a few key rings, that kind of thing. And
And proved that it actually works because at the
yeah,
time, it didn't seem like it was something that could be possible. It seemed
yeah,
like everything could be hacked. I mean, before Bitcoin, it seemed like if they could hack it, they could duplicate it. It just seemed like it was impossible. I remember being blown away. It's like, oh, it's impossible to do that. Couldn't
yeah,
actually believe it.
exactly. And these are all things I'd never even thought of before. As much as I really wanted internet money, I never thought about who would produce it. How would you make sure it's not copyable, and how would you make sure there's only a limited supply, that kind of thing. Like, I didn't even start to
That
think
is
about that.
exactly, but that's what garnered my interest. I mean, I remember my freshman year of high school
Hmm.
doing my own research about the Fed, uh, how money operated. I was really trying to figure out what was wrong with the system as it was.
Uh-huh.
And to me, my eventual conclusion by the end of high school was that it seems to be our money. Money kind of unlimited printing of money allows for people to do things they wouldn't be able to do without it.
Yeah, it sure
Especially
does.
you look at where that started with World War One, and every war since then really has been on debt as opposed to actual money.
So you're
They
one of
wouldn't be able to fight
those you're one of those people who thinks that Bitcoin and sound money can actually stop wars.
it. Well, I'd hope it could do something to at least limit the size and scope of them.
Yeah,
The United States has now been its longest war in the Middle East for almost more of my life than anything else.
yeah, it's a scary
And
thought.
I prefer that not to be possible.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I
it's
would
harder to do if you could track where all the money's going.
absolutely agree there. And you said you were into altcoins and other tokens and that just from a investigative standpoint, right?
Yes, absolutely. Later on as I did more research, because I think when I first got into it, it took me about a year because I'm not computer science savvy, at least
Mm-hmm.
not at that time. And I had no idea that it could actually work. And by doing research and following people like Andreas Antonopoulos, and those are like the people I could trust at the time, it took me over a year or two to really believe in it. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, I've been in all Bitcoin completely. I think I was always a maximalist,
Mm-hmm.
but the reason I started investing in other altcoins is because I kind of took the viewpoint, well, I didn't know which one was going to win, which one was going to work out the best. I didn't understand the white paper completely.
Uh-huh.
I still don't think I fully do, if I'm being honest, but I know enough about it now to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of started investing in where I saw projects with value.
Right.
Uh, I mean, I remember buying Ethereum for like $2, $3. And
Mm.
when it shot up to, I think, five or something like that, I ended up selling all of it because I wanted more Bitcoin. That was my ultimate goal, really. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think I've maintained Bitcoin maximalism throughout my entire time in crypto, and the altcoins are more of just potential as opposed to what I actually believe in.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty true. And so, how did you go from Bitcoin to Bitcoin SV? I mean, I know that's still Bitcoin, but that's still a progression.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that was my strangest one, because so much of the people that I listened to and so many people that I followed uh, are very much against Craig and
Yeah.
N-Chain and Bitcoin SV and the whole. I mean, when the split happened, I didn't know enough. I basically saw the Twitter memes. I saw traders talking about the split, and I remember just at the time feeling completely ignorant, and I stuck with the core coin because I thought that just made sense at the time. It was the biggest one, had the market share, it appeared to have the most developers on it. At the time, I didn't even know Bitcoin Cash was connected to Craig or anything like that.
Right.
I knew Roger was associated with it,
Uh-huh.
and I did not trust Roger at all.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. Never trusted him. I
Mhm.
don't know why. It's just something like an inner feeling. But I came to Bitcoin Cash, or Bitcoin SV now, through Kevin Pham. He's the one on
Okay.
Twitter
Yeah, yeah.
that I followed since he started tweeting, I guess. And I have similar thinking to him. Uh, when I saw he started tweeting about Bitcoin SV, I was kind of shocked by it, because he was a maximalist in a similar thought to me. And when I saw him discussing it, I was like, all right, well then I have to look into this, because I completely disregarded it, like everybody else, I think, for the most part,
Do you,
uh,
do you think a lot
because
of
of my time.
people's do you think a lot of
But
people's decisions are based on personalities rather than technicalities?
I'd say for people like me, yes,
Right.
because while I'm better at it now, I'm still, I don't have a degree in computer science. I'm teaching myself Python right now, but it's slow going.
Yeah.
I'm no expert. So what I rely on is the philosophical arguments and people who are technical explaining the technicalities to me.
Yeah, well,
So,
the philosophical and
you know,
investment stuff is really important too.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how I am. When I first came to BSV, I was at the time completely disillusioned with all of crypto. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd been to some events in New York, and it just seems like it got dominated by greed. And that's not why I got into it. I got into it for a better version of what money could be and a better future. So, after the big run up and the eventual crash, and seeing all these tons of altcoin projects popping up with nothing behind it, no value. A lot of it don't even have a white paper, just a name and marketing.
Yeah.
I just was kind of done with it. I mean, I became a trader as well throughout that entire experience, because I just kind of fell into it as more coins came out. And I even stopped doing that, because it lost the point of it for me.
Yeah. It got pretty saturated in the end.
Yes. Yes. But then finding Bitcoin SV through Kevin Pham, and then doing the research. And I read every single post that Craig put up. I had never
Oh.
read his stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
I never really discounted him completely. I never really heard much that he talked about. I don't know, I just didn't pay attention to it for whatever reason. But when I finally did, it became hard to find holes in what he talks about. I mean, especially, I've never heard anyone talk about Bitcoin like he has, with the expertise that he has. I mean, that one particular talk he had in 2017, where I think Jon Southurst gave up his spot.
Right.
That I've watched that maybe 20, 30 times.
Okay.
That completely changed my mind. Completely changed my mind about it. So I think from that point, it was just reinforcing, trying to find holes in my theory. I talked to people that were involved with other crypto projects, or Bitcoin maximalists like me, and are big names like Tony Vase, and I couldn't find them refuting the arguments by Craig. So ultimately, I was convinced by that.
Yeah, too often people are just blinded by the personalities, and they're not actually looking at the reasoning behind the arguments anymore. Like, it's just,
Yes.
I don't like that guy, therefore everything he says must be wrong, and every project he's involved with must be bad.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's also a broader problem in society too. And that's what I'm hoping something Bitcoin SV can solve as well, is that, it's hard to have a single place of truth these days, especially with journalism.
Oh yeah, tell
And
me
I think
about it.
that's most important.
Yeah.
And if we have a place where we can have stuff stored forever, I feel like the opportunity for truth is a lot. Well, I have more faith in it, at least more faith in that possibility than what we have now, which is
True.
just narratives.
It might not be perfect, but it's certainly a lot better than what we have now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you attach value to it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of journalism, thanks for joining us at MetaNetTV. What encouraged you to come on board here?
Well, the offer honestly was very, very kind. I had written before for Crypto Hustle on Twitter. I don't know if you know him. He used to have a website.
No,
I wrote a little bit for him.
Uh-huh.
You know him?
I don't know him personally, but I know the site.
The handle, yeah. I wrote for that a little bit. When I graduated college, I did my thesis on Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a simple examination of Bitcoin price from 2011 to 2015. But not being technical, I've always wanted to do something to contribute. I would start a business if I could. But the way I could contribute is I'm a pretty good writer. So if I could do it in that way, help educate, I would be more than happy to do that.
Excellent. You said you'd start a business if you could. What's stopping you?
Programming, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
Story of my life too.
It's not easy. I've tried multiple times. This is probably the farthest I've got, but I think it's going to take a while.
Well, I think it's fun to study programming just to get in that frame of mind because, most people go through their days not thinking like that.
Absolutely. And just having a better idea of what people are talking about,
Mm-hmm.
like on Writer and stuff like that. Just understanding it from that point of view. The more I learn, the more I appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you were interested in a version of the internet where everything is accountable and permanent, which is what the MetaNet is. Do you have any particular project involving the MetaNet or MetaNetTV that you're going to focus on first?
Well, I would say my expertise is, I got my degree in economics.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty well versed in history and economic history. So if I can look back, that's what I'm doing right now is like look back through the past. I've been looking at the Tether situation and the potential, probable bubble that's there with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of matches a lot of things that have happened in the past. So I basically want to take past examples, apply them to now, and then kind of show that the things that survive all those bubbles are the things with real value. And to me, that's only things like MetaNet. That's BitcoinSV is to the side. MetaNet is the real value with it.
Yeah, so, I agree with you there too.
So that's probably initially where I would focus is on the economic side of it, the economic arguments. That's where I am best at. And then just basic reporting, because I did some reporting on the lawsuit case that Craig was involved in.
Right.
So, basic reporting about projects or things like that.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to reading some of that. And it's great to have someone with real economic knowledge and insights as well as a degree.
Yes, a degree helps.
Yeah, my experience with economics is about as the same as my experience with computer programming. I've read a few books about it.
Yeah, I think I'd say it's a little more interesting depending on who you are. Reading Adam Smith, I think that's easier than reading a book on C# or something. But yeah,
can be. So where are you located? Do you want to say? You don't have to, but if it makes any difference.
That's fine. I'm in New Jersey, the United States.
Right, so you're right in the thick of it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, not too far from New York.
Cool. And are you actually working in the financial world now, or doing any consulting or anything like that?
I'm not. I had done investment advising in the past for a crypto investment fund based in New York, but I think since the downturn, they weren't looking to invest anymore, and then I kind of cut connections with them anyway after coming into SV. So I found that a lot of the connections I used to have basically dried up because of my interest only in BitcoinSV. I don't trade any other coins anymore. I don't even really trade anymore. I'm mostly just an investor, and now I just research and try to learn more.
Okay, that's very cool. Well, hopefully we can expand the SV world to the point where that doesn't matter.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Rich. And yeah, look forward to seeing you around on MetaNetTV.
I look forward to working there.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you.